Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back to Talk Wrestling, day 2, although it is day 1.
It feels like it's been a year. It feels like it's been a year since we've done this.
You know, a whole year has turned since we were last together on this show.
I know.
So, Happy New Year, brother.
Feels so good to be reunited.
That's right. And you know what? I didn't drink near as much as I thought I would, so I feel good about this show. I feel good.
You seem good.
I'm gonna turn the tables a little bit on Talk Wrestling this week because I've been away for a couple weeks because I've been working and doing whatnot. I'm gonna ask the questions, and then you're gonna answer them first.
Okay.
So it's kind of a hybrid of Talk Wrestling and No DQ and AV.
Sounds good.
So we'll do that. All right.
We're changing things up for the new year.
We are, and this probably be like a once in a while thing because Lord knows I need to do my own shows too. But the first one, I mentioned this at the end of last night's show or yesterday's show, talking about TNA's ownership. A guy, Daniel Lynch, his Twitter handle is LynchDaniel4. With Anthem Sports close to buying TNA, what changes should they make in 2017?
Everything.
Reboot.
Well, I talked about this on No DQ&A video. This is an idea that I had, which I might consider doing if I was them. Do an invasion angle where you bring in a couple guys, spend the money, bring in somebody like Alberto Del Rio, a couple of big free agents that are out there, and do an NWO type invasion. But unlike what happened to WCW, the Invaders win. The Invaders actually take down TNA and they absorb TNA and they become a brand new company. And you make these guys so badass and so cool that you're rooting for this new group, and it just it gives TNA a fresh start as something else. What do you think about that idea?
I absolutely love that. I was going to go for a generic reboot or rebranding, but you know what? I like that. I like the idea of guys like Alberto, maybe Cody with the Bullet Club. Maybe they bring in Omega and the Young Bucks.
Or somebody they can get that is available that they can sign up.
Well, you know what? Anybody that can, but you know what? I would seriously try to spend the money and get a New Japan deal and really bring in those guys, the Bullet Club and, all those other guys, and just really go to town on TNA and really just completely undermine everything that the Carters have built the last 15 years and just do everything.
And let them be super cool, with the NWO. They have the limousines. Just make them the ultimate badasses and have them develop this brand that is so cool. And that becomes the new TNA. TNA just goes away, and the Invaders win and create a new company out of TNA. That's what I think would be the best way to do a complete overhaul in a storyline.
I absolutely agree with that. That is tremendous, as we would say on No DQ.
Yeah. So Anthem, hey, I'm available. You want to give me a job? I'm available.
Don't threaten him with a good time, Anthem. All right. Our buddy Greg Cherry, our longtime supporter and friend, has a couple of questions for us. I'm going to answer the first one first, and I'll throw it to you.
Sounds good.
He wanted to know if the WWE still recognizes the 30-day championship defense rule. And I think they do, only because they mentioned Roman Reigns not defending the championship on Raw, even though he just defended against Chris Jericho. So I think that they acknowledge it when it suits their purpose.
Exactly.
But I think it's really an outdated thing. It's like, you know what? They're on TV every single week. It's not like they have pay-per-views every 3-4 months and they have, syndicated shows where they're defending every 30 days, but it's really like once every 6 months or something. It's a completely different WWE now.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically when they feel like it. The same thing with like the referee's decision being final. I mean, it applies when it benefits them, and when it doesn't benefit them, then it doesn't apply. That's
exactly.
Just the way it is, yeah.
Exactly. And Greg, I'm going to ask you first, Aaron.
Okay.
Greg says, is the WWE just coasting on Raw's booking since they don't have to seem to have fresh matches?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they're just going with this format. As long as the ratings are decent, I think they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. They're not going to change things up. With football season ending, I suspect the ratings will go back up a bit, and they're just going to do what they've been doing for the past several years. I don't really see anything changing unless they absolutely need to make change.
Well, it's just so funny you mentioned football because I've read The Death of WCW several times over the years, and it's a very good read if you don't mind completely upending and just completely just annihilating a company. Then read the book. But they make good points. And one of the good points they make is, wrestling business proprietors seem to think that the business is cyclical. It's not. The fact of the matter is they have competition. They have football. They have, they have the Olympics every 4 years. It has nothing to do with the fact that sometimes the business is good, sometimes it's bad. There is competition for wrestling. Vince McMahon swears up and down, I'm the only game in town. There's no competition. No. You're up against football. You're up against the World Series. You're up against the NBA Finals. You're up against Stanley Cup now. The NHL's a big thing now. They need to operate like they operated in the dark times when they were getting their butts kicked for 83 weeks. And they need to understand that, yes, there's nobody to compete against them in the world of sports entertainment, but they honestly need to realize that the fans like you, fans like me, fans like Greg Cherry are sick of the status quo.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about being creative and doing something innovative and new. That's when we'll see the next boom period in wrestling, is when there's a whole new concept and a whole new era that is truly a new era, not just the company calling it a new era. It's actually something completely different. And when we get a new star, I mean, that's really important too, is having that next big breakout star. But in order to get to that level, you have to experiment and try different things. You can't just create Steve Austin. It just doesn't happen that way. It has to be organic. It has to be the result of trying different things and letting these guys go out there and be creative.
Yeah, and everything that happened with Steve Austin was organic.
Yeah.
Everything that happened with The Rock and Triple H was organic. Everything that happened with Hogan was forced down our throats, and look where it got him in a few years. Cena forced down our throats. Look what happened in a few years. Roman Reigns, look what's happening now.
Yeah, Roman's the best example because, with Cena has had a lot of mainstream success, and obviously Hogan is Hogan, but with Reigns it just hasn't worked out. You can't just manufacture a top star like that. It's got to be something that is organic.
And the problem is they've tried everything with Roman. They've put The Rock with him. They've put they put him in this, and just nothing has got him over. It's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, Roman, we were talking on the last show last year about, actually yesterday, but we were talking about how Roman Reigns won all those awards. Also, I did a poll on ODQ.com recently about the worst Royal Rumble winner in history, and Roman Reigns also won that.
And the thing is, perception is reality, and we are perceiving that Roman is this terrible wrestler. He's just not. He's just being booked so poorly.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's the people on the booking sheets writing this garbage, not the person in the ring. That's the problem now.
Right.
All right. I had several people tweet me and Instagram me about this. I'm just going to throw it out there. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Roman facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania?
Interesting. I talked about this briefly on OD Q&A video. My opinion on it is that if they're going to do it, Roman needs to turn heel. If Roman's not turning heel, I would avoid doing that at all costs.
Totally agree. There's no reason for the plan seems to be Cena Undertaker for Undertaker's last hurrah.
That sounds better to me.
I don't think a heel Roman losing Undertaker benefits anybody.
Right.
I don't think a heel Roman beating Undertaker benefits anybody.
Exactly.
I really don't. I think Undertaker's WrestleMania record is now an irrelevant point in the history of the business. I mean, 3 years ago, it was something. No question about that. But every year that he's come back since then, every match he's come back for since then, it's like, all right, when's he done?
Yeah, well, I think a heel Roman Reigns retiring Undertaker might be a big deal if they booked it properly. I don't know.
But the thing is, a heel Roman would have to just completely destroy the Undertaker to make it worthwhile. If it's a back and forth match and Roman squeaks one out, it's going to look crappy.
Yeah. So maybe it's best they just avoid doing that. And people are freaking out now because Undertaker has been announced for the January 9th edition of Raw. And people are thinking, well, wait a minute, wasn't Undertaker part of SmackDown? They're thinking it's going to be Undertaker versus Reigns now. It doesn't necessarily mean anything because Undertaker, I don't think he's exclusive to SmackDown. I think he's in the same category as Lesnar, where he's not drafted to any particular show. He can just appear on whatever show.
Oh, I disagree. Lesnar was actually drafted to Raw during the draft.
Okay, Lesnar was, but Undertaker was not.
The Undertaker goes where he wants to go.
Right, so I don't think that necessarily means. I think it just means, Undertaker's going to show up and perhaps announce that he's going into the Royal Rumble. That's what I'm expecting at this point.
I would love to see that. I'd love to see him win the thing.
That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Cena to win the title, and then Undertaker wins the Rumble, and that sets up Cena versus Undertaker at Mania.
I'd love to see it. All right. Callum Owen has so much to say. It took 2 tweets. At Callum Owen 98. Thoughts on Kurt Angle possibly returning to the WWE? Does he return in the Rumble match? And who should he face at WrestleMania? Or will it just be a Hall of Fame induction and a video game deal, as Vince is worried Kurt could get seriously hurt in the ring?
Well, I do not think it's going to happen this Royal Rumble or this WrestleMania. I think if Angle does come back, it'll be for next year's Rumble and next year's WrestleMania. And if Rusev's still pushed at that time, I would go with Angle versus Rusev. I think that would be an awesome match.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I think I saw it on your website. I could be wrong. But I think that he's telling people he's not taking bookings anymore.
Yeah.
After Cody and after the other match he has coming up.
Alberto.
Alberto, thank you. So interesting to see if those bookings play out, and he maybe not the Rumble because it's only a few short weeks away, but Mania Hall of Fame.
Well, maybe he'll show up at WrestleMania and then he'll start one final run over the next year. He'll go into the video game and then go into next year's Hall of Fame, and that'll be the end. Have one last year, maybe do 3 or 4 matches. That's something that's a possibility, but again, I'll believe it when I see it.
I would love to see Kurt Angle back, just not in a full-time capacity because he's too beat up for that.
Yeah, I mean, if he could pull off 3 or 4 matches, I would love to see him back.
All right. Here's one from a fan. He's based here in Southern California. He's a Kings fan, so I love this guy. Mike X270. Here's a humdinger. How do people communicate in the ring if one doesn't speak the other's language?
Well, some guys just, are able to – they have so much experience that they can go in there and – they just get a feel for each other. It's like dance partners. When you're working with somebody, you have the chemistry with them, you kind of just know what to do and you can just wing it,
It's amazing. I've heard people in the business tell me this, and they've said it on DVDs and whatnot. Wrestling is very much you could do it blind because it's very much when you get a feel for an opponent, you just know. Like, I guarantee if Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair were blind in '89, they could have still had the best 3-match series in wrestling history.
Right, and they never prepared for anything. They just went out there and did it.
They called every single thing that happened over the course of those 4 months in the ring, and I think that is how it should be still, damn it. So it's something like that. Speaking of great technical wrestlers, Ty Marshall in the United Kingdom has a UK question. Would it be better to have Nigel McGuinness and William Regal doing the commentary for the UK Championship Tournament? And I happen to agree with that wholeheartedly.
I do too.
Regal's the GM of NXT, and that's a full-time on-TV job. But you know what? Do we really want to listen to how many weeks of Michael Cole calling British wrestling with his American accent? No. I want Regal. I want the fact they signed Nigel, and the fact that Michael Cole has something to do with it speaks volumes of Michael Cole's reputation, no doubt about that.
Right.
But to have, I would say have Nigel do play-by-play and Regal be the slightly almost heelish color commentator, but still do the straight and narrow. So
why
to
not?
speak.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I would love to see that. And WWE, if you're watching, because I know you are, book that crap.
Right.
Let's see. And address them. Just going up the thing here. Dun, 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 dun.
Sure thing.
Oh, there we go. Calvin Bowman at Bowman Calv 7. Why was Billy Gunn kicked out of DX in December of 1999? It was actually February of 2000.
He was injured.
He got hurt, and that's why the Outlaws dropped. The Outlaws dropped to the APA, and
or was it the Dudleys?
Dudleys, right? Excuse me, Dudleys, right? The Outlaws beat the APA at the Rumble that year. That's right. Yeah, Billy Gunn got hurt pretty bad. I think he tore a tricep or something, if I remember right.
Something like that, yeah.
And he was going to be out for a while. That's why he came back as the one Billy Gunn, because he was gone for so long. He had to repackage him. And it was as simple as that. Let's see. Josh Anderson. We actually addressed this last year. What wrestler's entrance do you catch yourself humming to? Nakamura.
Yeah. That or Glorious. It's one of those
Nakamura and Bobby Roode, easily those two, no question about that. Although, it's so funny when I'm really like just watching something like for a prolonged period of time. Like for example, I was watching. I'll give it a plug on High Spots. Since it's here, I was watching this, the RVD TV title DVD, and all last night as I was going down to Buffalo Wild Wings, I was humming "Walk" by Pantera just it's in my head. I'm like, where the hell? Oh, that's right. I was watching that. So
And you were walking.
I was walking. So it really depends on what I'm watching at the time. But generally speaking, right now it's Nakamura and Bobby. I've got like 9 questions in the queue here.
Okay.
Let's go to the top here and just make it happen, Kevin.
All right, sounds good.
Let's see. No, it's a bunch of okay. Oh, Dave Payne's friend Virtue.
Virtue
what's
Rage.
Virtue Rage. When are we going to do a hookup for an interview on Talk Wrestling?
Well, that would be your question to answer, Jeff.
It would. Well, you're the boss, but
I authorize whatever you guys want to do.
You know what? I say book it, Rift. Make it happen.
All right. Well, Virtue's Rage. You want to do it? Let's do it.
Give me a call on Skype. You know where to find me.
All right.
All right. Last question. I'm going to go with this one here from AJ Lee / Page fan at AJ Page fan. Do you think AJ Lee was one of the best booked women in WWE history?
Yeah, I would say so. I think she had a really good run. I mean, I think if she had stuck around longer, she would have been in there with Charlotte and Sasha Banks, and she was a great performer and one of the better promos too for the women. So I would say she was booked pretty well.
I would have to agree. I think like you said, had she stuck around and not got a bug up her butt by her husband having to leave, I think she could have been the greatest of the post Trish era.
Yeah, and I think she was like the start of the women's revolution. I think I remember that pipe bomb she did. When she came out there and trashed all the women, and she didn't do Total Divas, so she was kind of like she took herself more seriously as a wrestler than the other ones. So I think that she was really the trendsetter there. I think with the women's revolution.
Yep, I would love to see her. I know she doesn't want to. I'd love to see her against the 4 Horsewomen.
And she did the give women a chance hashtag thing. That was her, right?
Give Divas a chance, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I found actually a good last question. There we go.
Okay.
Christmas Quick at Tristan Quick. Where does 2016 rate for you guys against previous years of WWE programming? For me, it is pretty high. I find that statement interesting that he said it was pretty high because other than a few select moments, it was another down year, I thought, for the E.
I thought the wrestling was excellent. I thought the booking was terrible. So when you balance the two, it made out to be an average year, in my opinion.
Well, the problem is when the wrestling's good and the booking's bad, you have WCW.
Yeah, exactly.
So how far can they go?
Yeah, we did have some TNA, and for some of the fans out there that are into the indies, you had ROH and PWG and New Japan. So there are other options out there. Lucha Underground.
We mentioned PWG on our what was going to be our year-end wrap-up show out there in the parking lot. If PWG would just realize that yes, there are their hardcore fans that'll pay through the butt to go to Reseda to pay watch their shows. Y'all are in my price range. If they would lower their prices again, I would gladly pick up my habit of WWE of going to PWG again. I would, because they are the best wrestling on this coast. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I'm just I'm hoping one day maybe they'll change up their formula and maybe run a bigger venue. That Reseda venue. It's such a fire hazard. If there's ever an emergency, that's going to be a disaster.
If there's a spark in that place, they're going to be on the news.
Yeah, it would be really bad. I mean,
bad.
That place is a safety hazard with that many people crammed in that small building.
I've heard they've kind of dumbed it down a little bit. They've actually set a capacity and not crammed every nook and cranny of that place with people.
The last one I went to, it was so bad. Like I did not feel comfortable in there. Like I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the exits just to know where to go, but it would be really bad.
I remember. If you remember my friend Megan from back in the day, they worked with Gary. She picked us, Jade and I, up once and took us to their Tremendous, which was their anniversary show, whatever it was that one year. I think it was 2009, and we were late, which was never a good idea at PWG. And luckily we had our tickets ready, so we walked in late. And because he's in a wheelchair, we were trying to get to the front. Yeah, there was no moving toward the front. We were elbows to assholes. It was the whole, oh my God. So I literally screamed, part the sea, push Jade to the front, and hightailed my butt to the back,
Right.
over there by where like Joey sits, all the way to the entrance to and I had to watch the show from there. And she's like, "Where the hell did you go for 3 hours?" I'm like, "I got my ass out of the comfort zone. You kidding me? No way am I sitting in that cramped quarters for 4 hours. No way."
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, but you know what? I have no problem supporting those guys, because you know what? They are the guys that we were going to see from the ground up, that built that company from the ashes of companies like Epic in its heyday and things like that, and Rev Pro. They built that company from nothing. And if I ever happen across a PWG DVD, I pop it in and I watch it, because you know what? It's still the best wrestling in Southern California that's not produced by Jesse Hernandez.
Yeah, it was PWG that got exposure for guys like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. All these guys were tearing it up at PWG a decade before they became major WWE stars.
I wish guys like Regal and them would go see Jesse's shows.
Oh, yeah.
Because those kids that work for Jesse at EWF now, not now, but like in a couple years, they could be the next breakout star.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of guys in SoCal that have potential that are not in PWG.
I mean, if you think about it, granted we're friends with Gary and that's fine, but how emotionally invested were the people in that little, what do they call it, Knights of Columbus Hall?
Yeah.
When Gary's guy faced Andy Brown.
Oh yeah, they were really into it. That was a hot crowd.
That built for a year, and it was all on Gary's promos and the blood thing, and it just built and built and built and built. I had never seen an indie storyline build like that. I dare say since the Super Dragon Kevin Steen thing in PWG like 10 years ago.
Well, that's always been my biggest criticism of PWG is they just don't really do storylines. I wish they would have more intriguing storylines. It's just them going out there and having matches. So if that's your thing, PWG's for you.
Well, in the early days, they did. I mean, I remember Frankie and Adam had their big feud for the title for about a year, and they had the Loser Leaves Town cage match that I didn't get to watch because I was upstairs doing interviews, and it pissed me off to this day. Still haven't seen that damn match, by the way. Had not seen that match, because I was working for Noah at the time doing the magazine. But they had that. They had the Super Dragon Kevin Steen thing. They had the Dynasty doing storylines for a while. The Dynasty, if you don't know the Dynasty, Google Dynasty PWG. You had Scott Lost, Joey Ryan, Scorpio Sky,
Harold, a.k.a. Harold.
A.k.a. Harold, right? Who was and I think it was Bosch, Chris Bosch, who is the only guy to this day that made my former co-host literally fall into his chair and break the chair. He was so scared of that guy's front parts.
Yeah.
Wow. That was something. That was so much headlines. We made Michael Moody's DVD over that thing happening.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
There goes the camera again. 2 days in a row.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row now. I'm on a streak. 2-0. But yeah. But as far as WWE's year, I think that if they would match their match quality with the booking of like Ring of Honor, they'd be in good shape.
Yeah, they just need more compelling storylines, and guys need more creative freedom. That's been one of the biggest problems is everything is so heavily scripted, and guys are not allowed to go out there and do their own thing. They have to follow the script pretty much word for word. Most of them. There are a few exceptions, but most of them just have to go out there and do exactly what they're told to do. Well,
this is why guys like Ric Flair didn't survive very well in WWE when he came back. And as far as he didn't like the scripting, and Hogan doesn't do well when he comes back.
It's very over choreographed. Like when I watch these shows, I feel like I'm watching something that's very clearly prepared in advance. I want more unpredictability when I tune into Raw. I miss the days when you really had that feeling of anything could happen and the show would be out of control. I miss that. Raw is war. Whatever happened to that?
If I want to watch choreography, I'll tune in ABCs on Monday nights.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, obviously it is all choreographed, but the point is to make it feel like it's not. I think you need to do that.
Yeah, I was always. It's funny. I didn't become a fan until a year later, but even going back as old as I am now, watching Flair and Steamboat, we'll go back to them. I never felt like I was watching a choreographed situation.
Right.
Those matches just flowed. I liked watching,
They can make you
even
suspend disbelief.
yeah, even in the Attitude Era, like like the matches with Austin and Rock or Rock and Triple H. I never felt like I was watching something that was set down point by point, step by step.
Yeah, and that's how I feel pretty much about everything in WWE right now, not just the promos, but the matches as well.
Exactly. I'm gonna answer one more question because I don't know if you know the answer to this. I don't know if you follow this or not, Aaron. But I'm gonna answer Iron City Schmitty at RevSiz1019. I tweeted this morning, well, actually yesterday morning now, about Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce's 7 Levels of Hate DVD and whether it was still available. I actually saw the clip online because Adam had made it available for download or whatever, and I downloaded the clip. So I'm a bad person. I'm a bad wrestling fan. Sorry, Adam. But I tell you, if you have a chance to watch, if you have a chance to watch this documentary, it's like 2 hours long. It talks about the entire Colt Cabana versus Adam Pearce feud, which originally started over the NWA World Championship in 2011 and built to a series of 7 matches and ended up completely turning the NWA and their careers upside down.
Okay.
So I can't recommend PWI every month has like their rating system for a DVD or whatever. They gave this thing 5.5 stars.
Oh wow.
So I cannot recommend this DVD. If you're looking for quality indie wrestling entertainment, 7 Levels of Hate. You can't find it on DVD online anymore. You have to find a buddy that has it and borrow it because you can't buy it anymore. But if you can find the clip online or even little snippets of clips, watch it because it is the best NWA World Championship based feud that I saw since Flair Steamboat.
That is some very high praise right there from good old JM.
There you go. So Adam, I hope you're doing well on the main roster, doing the producer stuff. You seem like you're doing a great job. I see you all the time on Facebook and Twitter. So more power to you. We miss you here in SoCal, though, buddy. Same with you, Colt.
All right.
All right, so that's going to do it for Talk Wrestling this week. Aaron, thank you for co-hosting with me 2 days in a row.
Yep, 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. Let's not make this a habit. We're gonna overkill the people here.
Yeah. This will be like a special occasion thing.
That's right. I'm going to open the year, not the way I closed 2016, but I'm going to say this simply. Thank you all for watching this week. We will see you next week with more Talk Wrestling. In the meantime, catch this guy here on No DQ and AV, and we will see you next week.